It's my turn.
I'm here, Jim.
Oh, I don't see Jeff.
Can you hear me, Jim?
I can hear you, Jeff.
I'm here. I just
Oh,
don't-
there you are. You're black. It's in the dark.
Yeah, I'll get it going here soon.
Well, that's okay. I don't really need, now that I know you're here, I don't really need to see you. I do get kind of a kick out of these things when, if you drop your video off, people get kind of uncomfortable. And in my house now with this 4-month-old Springer running around, sometimes it's not the best to see everything that goes on. Well, let's see. Should we wait or should we get moving here? We'll give her another couple minutes.
Okay. Just curious, for the commissioners who are on the call, how many of you are using the city or utilities tablet or computer, or are you using your own?
I'm using the cities.
Okay.
I'm using my own, I'm using my work one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going from my computer at home.
Okay.
I'm using my own tuber now. That little thing to me just does not work very well.
No, so that's why I was curious. I think we're going to be looking at replacing them here in the very near future and getting a little bit better technology. Madeline, I think you've got a pretty new one there for the council. So
Yeah, I have a Chromebook. I like one.
yeah, I think that'll be the way to go.
Well, let's get rolling and she can join us when she arrives. So first we'll call the meeting to order and we'll approve the agenda. Any questions on the agenda or additions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Madeline,
Second.
second by Jeff. And we'll do a roll call vote.
Very good. Here we go, Mr. President. Perkins.
Yes.
Suki.
Aye.
Tucker.
Yes.
Sinclair.
Yes.
Foltz. She's not on yet. There you go, Mr. President.
Okie doke. Thank you. And we'll move on to routine business.
Is there anything in the financials that anybody has any questions on? Really quick turnaround. This last month, Heidi's on as well, so she can chime in on anything on the financials if you would like. So we have not been able to get you November's financials simply because we're just getting them closed out. So
Yeah, I think October, that's great to have October. Is there anything, Heidi, that you want to point out? Anything that is remarkable?
Nothing really that is remarkable one way or the other. I think we're kind of right on track as far as I can tell. And I think we'll always be this month lag just because of the closing of the month. So since I started, I think this is the schedule we've been on. So it is a little bit behind, but hopefully it's still useful information.
And I think that meets our expectations. I mean, to get faster than that, it would be a challenge, and I don't know that we need that. We meet monthly, so we keep a pretty good eye on it. If something comes up, we can all be notified.
Yep, absolutely.
Any questions on the financials or the routine business agenda? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve the routine business.
So moved.
Second.
I believe we have Madeline and GL.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please, Vernell.
yes, sir. Sinclair.
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Suki,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes,
Very good. Motion passes, Mr. President.
Thank you. And we will move on to the public or citizen items.
We have nothing of this month, Mr. President, so it
Okay.
should go pretty quickly.
And
Hey,
we
can I
will-
back up 1 second here? And this is
Sure.
just unrelated. I'm sorry, I should have brought this up before, but I see it, and this isn't anyway, but that Bridget's request to go to MMUA, I don't know if you all are aware, but we're kind of involved in that now. And I think there's a really good chance that could be virtual, but I could be wrong about that.
No, the way things are going, I think it's probably going to be virtual too, unless the vaccine comes out quicker and wider than what we think. So,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm trying to, but we're redesigning that whole program for MMUA and MREA. We're involved in that, and
nice.
the Central Lakes project, but that's a long story. I won't get into the details, but that's what that looks like to me. I'll be interested to see if you're going to probably get part of the redesign because it's virtual, Bridget. You're going to probably get part of the redesign. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm interested to get your feedback.
Okay, thanks, GL. Let's see, financial reports. Anything additional there?
Nothing really from me, I guess.
Okay,
Unless there's any questions.
action items. We got one major action item today with the recommendation of approval of the bid of the 115,000 volt transmission line.
Yes, I'll take that, Mr. President. Actually, what this is for the material award. When I put this together, I had a little dyslexic moment, thought it was for the construction of the transmission line, but it's actually for the material bid. And all the bids are due today at 1:30. Because our meeting is early this month, things got kind of balled up with the engineer and trying to get this package put together. So I'd like to have a contingent approval to send this to the city council for the 8th and have them finalize the approval of the bids for the material for that 115,000 volt transmission line. We've got several bids. Hopefully they'll be relatively competitive. Just off the top of my head, all inclusive on the material for that transmission line is probably going to come in somewhere shy of $1 million, somewhere between 900 and $1 million, I think, for the material for that project.
So question on this, so we're recommending the city council approve the low bid, or what are we recommending?
That is correct. It'll be the lowest qualified bidder. And bid bonds are required on this, and I believe everybody that's been submitting bids so far have been providing bonds. We're actually doing a virtual bid opening today at 1:30, not allowing people to come in, trying to keep as much distance between vendors and ourselves as we possibly can. So that'll be set up for 1:30 today, and we'll do a webinar for the bid opening. It'll be a little bit different process than we've done in the past. But
How many bids do you have currently, or do you know?
I believe there's 6 or 7.
That's good, we're getting bids.
Yeah, and it's not bid package. There's actually 6 different bid documents in this bid package, so it can be all or nothing. I believe we have some vendors that are just providing bids on the poles, one providing just the bid for the fiber optic static wire for the project. They're a specialist in that, and then I think there's going to be a few that's going to be all inclusive, but the engineer is going to have their hands full getting that sorted out this afternoon and tomorrow morning, so I get the information together for the council, and then I'll have a memo in the council packet, Madeline, so it'll be pretty easy for you to navigate through.
All right.
GL, the only other question I got, this was part of the capital improvement plan, right? I mean, it's part of that whole South Sub deal.
It is,
Yeah.
Mr. Tucker, yes.
I kind of knew that, but I just had to ask. Okay. I'll make a recommendation. I'll make a motion. We approve this.
I will second it.
Motion by GL, second by Jeff Perkins. Would you do the roll call vote for now?
Yes. Foltz? Not on yet. Perkins?
Yes,
Suki?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
And Sinclair?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for the confusion and the way this has to roll out, but appreciate your support and keeping this thing moving so we get that material ordered.
Yeah, we've been waiting long enough on this one.
Yeah, we actually did get the verified permit executed and signed by the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. That was posted in e-dockets yesterday. We do have that in hand, so we are ready to go.
Good. Glad we're getting there. And we'll move on to General Manager's report. Brunel?
Sure. I'll just give you a quick update on the Missouri River Board meeting from last month. Don Johnston from Flandreau, South Dakota did announce that he was going to retire from the Missouri River Board. Don was the first vice chair, and he's been on the board for 43 years. So some of you were on the area meeting webinars. We've had a significant turnover on the board. The board is going to take action on the 17th to replace Chair Skibout. I think there's a memo that will be coming out from Harold and from Tom Heller today on Harold's recommendation on who his replacement will be. So we'll know that after official board action on that on the 17th of December. And then the recognitions, the board recognized and honored all the military service veterans that both are employed by Missouri River and those that have served on the board. There's quite a few veterans within the board and Missouri River itself, so it was nice that they did that for Veterans Day. They provided a COVID-19 update. They have pretty much everybody at Missouri River outside of the office except for a handful of schedulers that are in there for MISO and SPP operations. And then just a few other skeleton staff that have requested to work in the office and can isolate. Obviously, everybody's heard about South Dakota being a hot spot. Minnesota right now, there's only 3 members in Minnesota that anybody can go to from Missouri River. All the other members are declared hot spots as well right now. So it's tough. Everybody's doing as much virtual work as they possibly can. And they're still doing a pretty good job, still working on projects for the membership and keeping everything going. Marty Canner from the DC lobbyist provided an update on the national election. Kind of talked about how the changes in the House and the Senate and what that Senate may look like pending that last election in early January in Georgia. Expects a push for a COVID-19 deal probably in early of 2021. Hopefully something will come out of that. There's some discussion. There may have some clean energy infrastructure funding in that as well. And there's just going to be a lot of changes. Everybody's watching what's going to happen with clean energy standards, fracking, methane capture, pipelines, the power marketing agencies, WAPA. There's going to be a lot of discussion, and those things are all going to be on the table for 2021. So it's going to be interesting. Deb Bergen gave an analysis of state elections all by state. I think everybody's pretty much aware of what went on in Minnesota. There's a resolution for purchasing a section of land in Marshall, 80.5 acres. That was originally going to be the site for a combustion gas turbine. Missouri River and Western Minnesota has decided not to build that unit. So they're looking at that 80 acres for a future solar facility that'll be behind the meter generation. And that's, they're starting to look at that and review that, possibilities of that solar field sometime in 21 or 2022. Missouri River actually made some changes on their health insurance plan, which is interesting. They've had some pretty good years. They've decided, they worked through a broker and a few consultants to make this decision, but they went into a self-funded health insurance plan. They figured they can save a couple $100,000 a year.
Wow.
They do have a backstop catastrophic policy at 75,000, I believe is what the number is, to kind of shore up their coverage, but they're going to try going self-insured again for a while. They entered into an agreement for the Marshall Wind Farm. They've been back and forth with a couple other firms to try to get a maintenance agreement on them wind turbines in Marshall that they just purchased. The first firm that they selected was a low bid. They were not able to perform up to standard. They were not able to get their work done in a timely fashion, so they made a change and they went with another unit. And I don't remember right off the top of my head who they went with for the Marshall Wind Farm, but same people, I believe they're doing the wind turbines in Worthington. Talked about the time of use rates. If you get Missouri River Today, there's nice graphics in there of what the time of use rates may look like going forward, both daily and seasonally. If nothing else, I can send that out to you. You can kind of look at that, just some interesting graphs on how time of use rates may appear in the future. Then there was a discussion about Wyoming Municipal Power Agency wants to sell their share of Laramie River Station, and I believe Basin Electric is interested in that. All the participants need to agree and sign off right of first refusal if a member wants to sell or a participant wants to sell their portion of Laramie River Station. Western Minnesota and Missouri River signed off on that, so the Wyoming Municipal Power Agency can sell to Basin Electric if they so choose to do that. It's small, it's only about 50 megawatts, so it's a very small portion of Laramie River Station. Made a change order for Voith Hydro for commissioning of Red Rock since we were short of water this fall. They've had to postpone commissioning, and they re-entered into a contract and amended the contract with Voith to come back in and do wet commissioning in the spring once we get sufficient water. And then a resolution for Harold Skibout to be chair emeritus for the next 12 months to help whoever the next chair may be in that transition process to get the new chair up to speed and understanding what's going on behind the scenes that a lot of us on the board typically don't see that staff and the chair work together on. So that's pretty much it for the Missouri River Board meeting update. Any questions on that?
For now, this GL, I just have a question. Seems like there have been quite a few retirements here all in a swell swoop. Has there been any talk about having term limits or anything to kind of get a little more continuity, or is that an issue or not? Or
well, it's really not an issue. This year was strange because of people leaving. I mean, Brad Roche retired. That opened up one, but when Bill Schwant left, that kind of started the domino effect a little bit, and then Dave Shelkoff left Valley City. So those two were probably the unknown quantities in the whole equation. I think the other retirements were pretty well planned and a plan was in place for that. But when Bill left, he was Western Minnesota's president, and he was also in the chair lineup at Missouri River, or one of the vice presidents. He had a very good chance of taking that chair spot because of his seniority on Missouri River Board. So that kind of kicked the can open and opened up the doors for all the changes. And the big thing that we've talked about on that board is maintaining the culture and the communication style that board has. That board communicates very, very well. And they're not afraid to ask the difficult questions and have the difficult discussions around the table on critical issues. So whoever takes that chair seat next is going to have to work through that and maintain that culture and get the new board members up to speed on both the history and how the board governs Missouri River Energy Services. So it's going to be a real interesting transition. I think it'll be a challenge, but hopefully it'll work out well. Yeah, we really haven't looked at term limits, Joe, because we do have a lot of experience that's going out. That's a bad thing, but having that much experience in history, especially, is a good thing. And we're going to have to bring the new members up and try to get them up to speed as quickly as we can. Does that kind of answer your question?
That makes sense. I'm just curious. I mean, it just seems like a lot here in a short period of time went out. So
yeah, I think we would have seen probably 3, and we knew there were 3 that were likely to go out when Red Rock was completed. That was Brad Rose, Don, and then Harold. The other 2 were the unknown quantities, and sometimes we're vulnerable to that, just like any other governing body.
thank you.
Move on to strategic business issues.
Sure. So I'm going to bring this screen up for you, and I'll just kind of go over this quick and let you know what's going on. The yellow was completed by mid-2020. This is the strategic business issues for January through December of 2020. You can see that under the policy review, we did fairly well. I still have the donation policy that needs to be reviewed, the financial reserve policy that Heidi and I will have to work on for the sewer fund, and that street lighting policy. I'll be honest, I've let that slip, so we'll pick that back up in 2021. Pretty much everything on the personnel side that we could complete has been completed by mid-year. The MBR project, E2Q construction. You can see that MBR annual conference was delayed due to COVID, and then it was delayed again. It was supposed to happen in the fall, and it got kicked back again. Everything else has pretty well been finished up by the end of the year or by today. The E2Q dedication, we've just basically going to mothball that. I just don't see any way of really getting that put together for any time in the future. I think what we will do is just offer tours to anybody that wants to come out. And certainly if any of you want to come through that facility and walk through that facility, let us know. Rob or I'd be very happy to walk you through that finished facility and let you see what it looks like and how it's performing. It's because it's doing a very, very good job for us. On number 4, the electric South Sub large equipment specification review. Some of that's going on right now. Actually, Andy and I just reviewed the specifications for that large transformer at that project. And that ad is on the street. Will be advertised in the paper this week as well. You can see the green areas there that have been completed. With the electric vehicle program, we delayed due to COVID. We will have that large equipment, substation equipment that will need to be approved in 2021. And then the MDM program, I'll talk about that for 2021 as well. IT did pretty good there, met all of our goals and completed most things we had on the docket for IT for 2021. Same thing with GIS. A big portion of that was getting our data squared away, and we're still not quite sure how that's going to look in GIS with the meter changeout program, but all that is coming into Laserfiche and going into Encode right now. So that's going well. And we did get a shipment of meters in, and they're back going again and rock and rolling. And Madeline, I actually think they were in your neighborhood yesterday working. Oh, you're muted, Madeline.
Madeline, you're on mute.
Yeah, they were at my house yesterday. The power went out all of a sudden. I went, what the heck? And then I heard them and looked out the window, and there they were. There he was. Took about 5 minutes.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
On the legislative and regulatory side, the EPP legislative rally, well, that's a mouthful this morning, did happen last February. That was one of the last things that went in before the world turned upside down momentarily. A lot of the other meetings were canceled, and some of those are scheduled again for 2021. The EPP legislative rally is virtual. I do not believe there's a fee for that. So any of you that want to attend, let us know. We'll make sure you get you the links to that. I actually think I've sent them out. If you need them again, let me know. Attending that's going to be interesting in virtual meetings because a lot of the value that came out of that meeting was meeting with our legislators one-on-one. And that'll be lost here. And we're hoping that we can get back to that sooner than later. And along those notes, when it comes to the legislative rally, so you all know, I did nominate G.L. Tucker for a open spot on that APPA Policymakers Council. Gary Nansen was on that. G.L. was kind enough to volunteer for that brutalness if that happens to come about. I believe that group in DC is going to meet this week and review the applicants and the resumes of those applicants. So hopefully we'll know by the end of the year, GL, if you get drawn for that spot. I hope we can. Gary was on that. It's very good to have somebody from Detroit Lakes on there. It's good to have somebody from Minnesota and Missouri River on there as well. At one time, Missouri River had 4 representatives on the Policymaker Council. Now we're down to 1. So it'd be nice to get another person on there. On the budget process, I can see we've completed everything there. The only thing we have left to do is evaluate the costs associated with replacing that jet turbine, and that'll be early in 2021. That's kind of what that matrix looks like going into 2021. For policy review, we do have the commission board. Any questions on what we completed or did not get completed for 2020? Okay, moving on to 2021. Commission board policy review, that'll be in March and April. We'll do that again. That's an annual requirement to review our board policies and see if there's any changes. So I'll be sending that out probably in February to have you start looking at that and think about anything you'd like to have changed. Donation policy for the board policy. We talked about doing a policy for donations. We'll do that probably after the audit is completed. Heidi and I can start working on that. Same thing with the financial reserve policy, hopefully in April and May. We get that completed after the audit is done. I do have the strategic planning session put back in. You can see that that's COVID dependent. I'm looking at either April or possibly September. I'm staying away from the summer months. If we can get back to normal summer, I hope everybody get out, enjoy life, and don't need to be bogged down any more meetings than is absolutely necessary. And then we'll work on a street lighting policy, and I've got that scheduled to be June, July, and August to get that finished up and brought to you. Under personnel, we're still one journeyman lineman short that we have not replaced for when Andy moved up to his position. So him and I have talked. We're going to start looking at that in probably late January, early February, getting that ad on the street and try to get that accomplished and get somebody in here, hopefully early or mid to late April, probably, if it works out. If the weather breaks me, we'd like to get him in here earlier than that. 1,000-hour intern again from the line workers program in Wadena. They start May, ends approximately October. The last few years now, we have not had anyone complete the 1,000-hour program. They've got a permanent job before they finished up the 1,000 hours on us. So at least we get them set up for getting a good start in their career. Staff development training, apprenticeship, supervisor training, others is needed. We look at that quarterly. That will come up as opportunities arise. And then interns for GIS and IT, that's going to be COVID dependent as well. And that probably happened sometime May through or end of September, depending upon the timing of that. On the meter replacement program, number 3, electric meter change out. If things go well, we could very easily be done with that by sometime late May, early June. The water meter change out, they're coming in for training on Thursday, I believe, at E2Q. They're going to get that set up. They'll have 1 or 2 days of training, and then they'll go out and set some meters up in the field and make sure that information is pulled back into Encode. And if that goes well, the following week or the week after, they're going to start full blown. That's going to be a challenge for them. There's no doubt. We've even had difficulties getting schedules to do meter installs or replacements of meters aren't working right now because of the COVID. People either being sick or not wanting people in. So I've got that scheduled for all year. If things go well, they could be done mid to late summer, but it's going to be a slow start here due to COVID. The 3C is the Encode finance module upgrades. We will start that April, May, June, and July. We'll do that after the audit is completed and try to get that finished up in Encode before the starting of the general fund budget session in July. And then once that is completed, we'll take a look at the billing module upgrades to version 10 of Encode, and that will probably start late summer into early fall. And then the MDM program participation and startup, we will do that the last quarter of 2021. Going on the electric side, the 115 kV transmission line construction, we've got that set for January through June. That project could be readily done by early to mid-June if things go well and weather cooperates. South sub large equipment specification review, we're doing that right now. That's December, January, and February. The award for the bid for the large substation equipment is likely going to happen in January. I think we're going to have that ready to go for at least for the transformer in January. Then the other equipment will probably be in March. Try to get that ordered simply because of the long lead times. Substation construction will happen starting in the spring through the duration of the rest of the year. And then the jet evaluation and repairs. Heidi and I talked about this yesterday a little bit. Getting in contact with the insurance company, try to find out where they're at. Get an evaluation of that done either later this month or January and February to make a determination what the future of that generation unit is. Number 5, IT, continue the know before training sessions. We'll do that quarterly throughout the year. If things go well, I'd like to have a cyber response drill sometime in April. We've done a lot of emergency planning. We've living through a pandemic right now, so we kind of got our hands and arms wrapped around how to handle that. but we need to get a good grasp on how we would deal with a cyber attack or ransomware or something like that. So we'll put a cyber response drill together and work through that with our IT and staff, get everybody familiar with what it would take to work through the restoration if we had to do that, if something were to happen to our mainframe. Update hardware and Office 365 mitigation will happen for the first half of the year. And then telephone upgrade system wide. We've got some telephones that are not on voice over internet protocol. That'll be happening in January. GIS, moving on. Continue the field work for electric to tie the secondary system, the primary system, data collection on our high voltage gear. That'll happen this winter. That's really good work. If people need to stay isolated, they can work independently and collect a lot of data between them all since they're spread out and covered a pretty good area. Get that done during the winter months. Then we'll work with Midland and Missouri River to integrate the GIS into the MDM system. That'll happen in the last quarter of the year. And then monthly, we'll verify that GIS data from meter vendors is insert either into Yukon, Encode, or both. Legislative and regulatory, APPA legislative rally, early March is what's on the docket for that. Midwest legislative rally, that's COVID dependent. That could be March or April. It could be interesting to see if we were able to pull that off. MMUA legislative meetings will be the same thing. That'll be COVID dependent. I do not see that happening. I see that to be some sort of virtual meeting as well. And then the APPA policymakers meeting and flying is typically in July. I have high hopes that we'll be able to pull that one together by mid 2021. Budget process is set for normal time in the fall. Review and set 2021 rates will be October of November of next year. Update of the city 5-year capital plan and overlay of the city plan. Kelsey and I will talk about that a little bit. We'll try to do that in March and April. Again, that's COVID dependent. If everybody can get together in person and talk about that. And then we'll evaluate the costs associated with replacing the jet turbine early in 2021. Got a busy year coming up again. Any questions? Wow. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, that's all I have. So we can go back to
our
department
agenda.
reports.
Thank you, Vernell. And good job to you and your staff for getting so much done, especially such a screwed up year. We continue to move forward at a really good pace, and we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll share that with the staff. They appreciate that as well.
I'll move on to department reports. Andy is still there.
Still here. Well, we got another shipment of meters yesterday. So I think almost all of our 2S meters, our normal residential home meters, are in the building. So Willie can make hay now. Washington Avenue, they got all the poles up except for the ones that are going to be in between the two lanes south of the roundabout at North Shore Drive. And we've got some extra hardware ordered for them to get banners on them. And then the guys this week should be done with all the groundwork on West Long Lake. They've already cut about, I want to say at least half of the customers over. And then Tim's still waiting on some gear to cut the rest of them over. But anything below the ground should be done shortly.
The warmer weather's been a blessing for those guys then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you haven't been down Washington Avenue now at night, that looks really nice down there. Nice layout. I think the guys did a really good job. Probably a little bit softer lighting than what is there between Frazee and Willow. It's tempered down a little bit. Looks really nice, very adequate on the lighting. And I think that lights in that median farther south are going to be a real nice addition to that. So kudos to everybody on putting that together. It looks really nice down there.
Anything else, Andy? Move on to Rob. Wastewater.
Good morning. just kind of operating as normal there. The plant is going well. We had someone come in from Suez, spent a couple of days, and then ended up with COVID. So she ended up flying back home. So that part got delayed. Suez will be looking to bring someone else in here as they can. I don't have a time frame on that yet. Other than that, plant is running very well. We're putting out great numbers. Chemical use is down, or about 40 gallons on the alum. That's doing really well. Haugs is working on the small pond. I think they should be pretty close to getting that emptied out, and then they'll bring in the berms and get that part finished up. So then they'll have to move on to the ribs and spreading that biosolid out on the area that's not part of the airport. Yeah, other than that, the meter thing should happen this week. I know there was some COVID concerns. I think Mark Kodak had that, was diagnosed with that too. So, but he was supposed to be wrapping up with that Friday, I think. So I haven't heard for sure on when they're coming in, Thursday or not. But we have plenty of meters. We've got all the nodes. I just got notice that the other final 2,000 meters should be coming in, should have shipped last week. So we should be looking for those pretty soon. Other than that, staff's hanging in there, doing a good job. It's a lot of stuff going on as normal, but doing good. Any questions?
Well, this may be for Vernell. Have we heard anything from Gary about decommissioning that pond?
No, actually, I think he's probably out west. I think he's out there enjoying life, pheasant hunting and doing everything else. And I was going to reach out to him and ask him again. I haven't had a chance to do that. So no, he's been pretty quiet.
Every time I drive by, I wonder if that meets his expectations.
It's actually starting to look pretty nice out there.
Yeah, it does. It looks good.
I think once they get that.
Nice to get some grass on it.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
And I assume we don't have John today.
We do not, but if I can, Bridget, you're on. Could you just jump in here? I hate to put you on the spot, but can you kind of talk about the EV charging station a little bit and what we know about that right now?
Yeah, good morning. So it's up and going. It's been utilized and we can track, and you guys can even go on PlugShare and see when it's used if you have interest in that. But people can kind of check in and it'll show you, what type of vehicle they have and how long they charge. It's kind of an interesting site. So that's PlugShare. We're still working with Zeph on kind of a weekly basis just to get updates on the EV charging station. That we were told that it is free through the end of December. So we're still kind of hoping that continues into next year. So that's about all I know. It's working. People are using it. So have you guys been by it or know of anyone who have used it? Any feedback is greatly appreciated.
So is there a charge for somebody to go and charge on the thing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so typically it's per minute. It's supposed to be free through the end of the year, but on the site it says that it's 30 cents a minute for the DC fast charger. So we're verifying that information. So that's either up and coming or that is what they're charging on that fast charging side.
So is there one fast charger and then what are there, two regulars?
Correct. Two
Okay.
level 2s.
Okay.
Yep.
So if I had a car and I was driving, say, from Twin Cities to Fargo, I could stop here and charge. How long does it take to charge one of those cars? Do you know?
It varies what type of car you have. And then, the fast charger is going to do it the quickest. I don't know. Vernell, do you have any more information on kind of the time frames?
Yeah, I think like Nissan Leaf, Chevy Volt, and that size of car, if you're down to like 20 or 25%, I think you can charge to about 80% in somewhere in that half-hour range on the DC fast charge. Tesla might have a little bit different rate. I think if you have a Tesla charger, they'll put out more output, so I think they'll charge a little bit faster. But I think you're looking at 20 to 30 minutes to be able to make the next leap in time.
That's a good spot then for people to go down and get a cup of coffee or a Miguel's or something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the nice thing about that location. It's handy for shopping. It's handy for restaurants. People grab a bite to eat and actually get downtown and spend some time downtown as well. One other side note, as far as electric vehicles, we put another EV vehicle in the 2021 budget. Bridget actually showed me that GMC is coming out with an all-electric Hummer that is quite impressive. 350-mile range, right at 900 or 1,000 horsepower, 7,000 foot-pounds of torque. A very, very, very nice unit. I don't think I've got the courage to ask that for my next electric vehicle, but it would be a very good test site to find out what electric vehicles are like. So thanks, Bridget. Thank you, Mr. President.
Vernell, I thought we had a deal. We're going to get electric Harleys, you and me.
well, by the time we buy 2 electric Harleys, we're about 2/3 of the way there to the Hummer. So,
yeah, it's an interesting world. It'll be interesting to see how soon we're going to need more of those chargers, because I have heard a number of people that have been looking at those cars.
Yeah, and I think with the new administration, I think you're going to start seeing a push for more transportation electrification. So, something we're going to be watching and getting ready for.
All right, thank you. Kelsey.
Good morning. I think one thing I was just going to maybe add on a little bit to Vernell's report. First of all, it shocked me that fish philosophy was in February of 2020. It seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, if you told me that occurred in 2020, I would have probably bet and lost money. But one of the things from a staffing perspective, we do have some kind of planned retirements coming up here for next year, somewhat related to utilities, but also impact the city. In the street department, Terry Stiegel's retiring at the first of the year. So we'll have a hiring process to go through on the city side for that. In our office here, Linda Reeby, she'll be retiring this spring. Marcy Hutchinson will be retiring this summer. Both of them have been with the city for a very long time. I mean, Linda's been here for 44 years. I don't know if you'll ever see that again, where someone stays at the same employer for 44 years. Marcy's 35 years. So a lot of experience going out the door. So we got kind of get in front of that hiring process. And I know Heidi and I have talked about that a little bit, and cross training and making sure we can kind of have a smooth transition. So as far as projects, I guess I'll take any questions. Everything's kind of slowed down now. Questions?
Any update on Westlake Drive? I mean, is that kicking forward or?
Still waiting for the court ruling. They had their hearing. I guess it depends what side you're on. I mean, the attorneys for the county felt pretty confident in how the hearing went, but now we're just waiting for a ruling.
Is this delay in getting the ruling? I mean, is there a go, no-go date to just move forward with eminent domain, or?
I think we're still okay for right now. I know they did some preliminary work this fall to prepare themselves for eminent domain, but I don't think anything's been done on that since, Gio.
Okay, thank you.
Just an observation on the airport, because I drive in that area quite often. It's amazing how big that airport looks now. The lighting and the brightness and that kind of thing. At night, it looks like an actual major airport. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so
we were thinking the same thing. We were coming in from Fargo, and I looked at it and thought it seems like it's twice the size that it once was.
Yeah, so the runway lights are on at a low intensity all night long. And then if a pilot keys the frequency, then they go to a high intensity. One of the problems we found is that a lot of airports have the same mic frequency, including Fergus Falls. So sometimes you'll see all the lights spike up and you'll see no plane landing. Well, we found out that our system's getting tripped from Fergus Falls. So I don't know, there's really no easy solution to that. But we're continuing to look at it. So, because I've had a few people ask, see the lights spike on, there's no plane landing, and that seems to be part of our problem.
Well, it does look good. I mean, when you come through town on Highway 10 and you see that, it does make us look a little more welcoming and
yeah. My one concern is we're doing the fencing project. If you look on Highway 10, you'll see posts going in. The only thing I'm a little concerned, I mean, it's good to finally have a good perimeter fence there, but it is a wildlife deterrent too. So it is going to be a 10-foot high fence with 3 strands of barbed wire on top. So it's going to be, I was a little concerned about the look of that along Highway 10 and along, Airport Road by Walmart, but that's what it has to be. The FAA is paying for it and it has to be a wildlife deterrent. So that's it's going to look a little different once you have that complete airport fenced in.
Can we plant pine trees in front of it?
Sure.
Good
Bruce is
answer,
going off the
Kelsey.
county, so at least he won't. Bruce is going off the council here, so at least he won't be on you about the screening ordinance or anything.
Right.
I was just gonna say, that's a Bruce Immel question.
Yeah.
All right, I'll leave that lay. Thank you, Kelsey. Much appreciated. So we'll move on to 2020 commission meeting dates. That must be 21.
It is, yeah. That's 2021 commission meeting dates. Those have been set and approved. So that's what our life looks like going forward. The other important dates are down there, March 1 and 2 of 2021 for the virtual APP Legislative Rally. And that should be the most of it for this month, Mr. President. I appreciate everybody's support through the year. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a good Christmas, a good New Year's coming up, and hope everybody stays safe and stays healthy.
If there's nothing else to come before the commission, we will adjourn the meeting.
Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep,
Thanks, everybody.
thank-
Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Happy holidays.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.